Hello everyone and welcome to Since 1919. Today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. We've mostly been doing educational pieces so far, but we thought it'd be fun to kind of go through some what we're calling tales from the punch list, funny stories that have happened in the field or anything like that. So here with me today I have both principals from 1919 Architects, Zach Enderle, Ron Billy, and they're going to be sharing some stories today. So who would like to go first?
I don't know, Ron, what do you think?
I think maybe you should go.
All right, well, I got a great story, so you're going to have a hard time following that up.
All right.
Just throwing that out there. So my story is more about a person and an experience that I had on the job site. It kind of went over a period of time, but it was, if I hadn't been on the job site, I would have never met my wife, basically, is what I'm going to say. So
Okay.
shout out Jeff Blank, best superintendent that I've had an opportunity to work with. When I just got out of college, I learned a lot from him. So I didn't know very much. And every time I would go out on the job site, he would do a very good job of, going through step by step what he's dealing with. So for example, like he'd show me a floor plan and he had it all like highlighted, like different areas highlighted different colors. And I didn't really know what he was doing, but he was explaining to me like when we pour this floor slab that you just, I just draw walls basically, but he's explaining like how he's going to pour these floor slabs based on the equipment, the schedule, all this stuff. So very intelligent guy, learned a lot from him, but at the same time, he was also kind of a goofball. So one of the things he did is he always had his tape measure with him. And I don't know, sorry, Jeff, if you do watch this, I don't know where you clipped it to, but I'm just going to clip it to my belt just because. So anyway, Jeff always had like this high vis t-shirt on. He had a Fu Manchu mustache, looked great. And he'd just be walking around. And let's just say, for example, he needed to send me an email about something in a little bit. So I'd say, hey, Jeff, just when you get a minute, could you email me this thing? And he would just pull up his tape measure like this. He would use it like a voice recorder, and he would be like, note to self, send Zach the email. And then he would just let it go. And he was so nonchalant when he did it. Mm-hmm. It was one of my favorite things. So
he wasn't waiting for like a laugh or anything. He would just
No, he would just do it. Like he would just randomly just walk up and be like, note to self, do this and that. And he would just straight face, just drop it. And he'd just keep going. So I thought it'd be funny that if I dressed up like Jeff for Halloween one year. So we'll share a picture of this, but basically I have the same get up that Jeff has, the high vis shirt. I got like a Ringland Johnson cap on, but I got my tape measure and I'm talking into it. And little did I know at this Halloween party, I was going to meet a pink Power Ranger. And she was looking pretty good that day and ended up getting married to the pink Power Ranger. And
Sweet.
I was dressed like Jeff, though, when I met her. So I felt like I needed to keep the Fu Manchu mustache because I wasn't sure if that's why she liked me. So I kept it for a couple months. And eventually she was like, Zach, seriously, you could shave that off because it doesn't look all that good. But on me, it didn't look good. But Jeff thought it was hilarious. So whenever he would see Liz, like the first time he ever saw her, he was like, I bet I'm looking pretty good right now. And that was always the joke. So, yep, shout out to Jeff Blank. But just a very fun experience on job sites throughout my time out of college. So,
I mean, if you had never met him, would you have ever impressed Liz enough? I don't know.
Probably not. I would have dressed up probably like something lame and like Batman or something, and she would have just thought I was anybody else, but she's probably just thought I was pretty good looking because of the fit I had on. So I think that I could 100% give Jeff Blank the credit for getting married to Liz. So.
Nice.
Yep. You're right. I should have went first.
Yep.
One very interesting and unusual thing is I had an old Jaguar, and we'd drive it to the office and everything, but it didn't have a parking brake in it. So if you're parked in the hill, you have to run it and take out of the trunk a log and put it behind the wheel, keep it from rolling away. Well, my boss at that time needed a car to go to a meeting. and he borrowed my Jaguar. First thing he did was take the log out and put it in the trunk and drove away. And where he parked his destination, he forgot to put the log back in the back wheel. So he left the car, and then somebody told him, hey, your car's rolling away. And he had to run all the way down the parking lot, open the door and jumped in, and started up and parked it. And I watched him out the window of the office, and I was giggling the whole time. You know, my car was in danger, but it wasn't that great of a car anyway.
All right.
That was good.
Thank you.
There was also the fist fight in the backyard with our lower tenants.
Yes.
Got into a big argument about something, and had their sleeves rolled up and were punching at each other. And I had to yell out the window to take it down the street. So, which they did. They moved out of our parking lot, and I don't know if they ever finished it up or.
I remember one of them came out with a black eye, so I think that was.
Yeah, somebody got punched a few times.
Yeah, definitely.
And it was probably Schneeman that got punched a few times. Bless his heart.
Bless his heart.
Go ahead, Ron.
All right, so mine isn't as funny as that. So I think one of the ones that I had was kind of a thing that was unique that I wasn't expecting, was that we were doing these single-family home inspections down in Columbia, South Carolina. And so I was going along with the person at the time. His name was Adam Dallenberg, and he worked there. And we decided that we'd go look at these homes to determine if we were going to keep them or not. And some of these homes were in really poor shape. So we're walking through one of these homes, had a big rug in the living room, not realizing the big rug was covering a hole in the floor. So as I'm walking, it was kind of like out of that movie with Tom Hanks, Money Pit. I stepped in this hole, went all the way down to my thigh because they're on crawl spaces. And there I was, just standing there with one leg in this hole, kind of crouched down in this position in the rug, and it kind of pulled some furniture in.
So was the family there when you did it?
Yeah,
or?
there were people there.
So as you were approaching this rug, did they like warn you?
No,
They
no one
had the
at all.
popcorn out. And they were like waiting for you
Yeah,
to
waiting
just
for me to
in there?
fall into the crawl space.
Did they laugh?
No.
Oh my gosh,
But they
ruthless.
So I walked out. I was laughing because I thought it was pretty funny.
Yeah, that's good.
And then the other time we went to another home, he had the master key, but the master key wasn't working. So he decided that we'll break into this home. And so he went to the back door. He didn't want to do the front door because then it'd be obvious. So we go to the back door, and then he does his best donkey kick on this door. Whacks it super hard. Doesn't even budge. Does it a second time. He actually ended up hurting his leg
I was
because
gonna
of
say
it.
broke his leg.
So we went inside. We finally got a maintenance guy to come over. He goes inside, and they had that plywood and 2x4s across that entire door. He was not getting.
He wasn't
in.
getting through there.
So, like I said, wasn't as good as your story.
No, it's
But-
okay though. That was, I mean, that might be the most important story of my whole life.
Yeah,
So
possibly.
Well, what about the time you were doing inspection of units?
Doing what?
Inspection of units? Didn't you come across a movie scene?
Oh, yeah, that was interesting. Inspecting units. They were supposed to be unoccupied, but I think some folks slipped into one of them. And I came into the unit, and I had the keys to it, and walked right in the door, and they were filming a nude scene for a porno movie of some sort. And I asked them for their credentials. They were embarrassed, and I was embarrassed, so I just left.
There you go.
as we were preparing for this, Margaret and I were talking about specifically punch list stuff. So there was one punch list that I did. It was on a Friday night at like 5:30 is when the guy wanted to start it. And it was very unfortunate because it was, at that time I was younger. I had friends and I wanted to hang out with on Friday night. So we got started, and this guy was such a stickler for every single thing. He wanted to test every, wanted to make sure the water was going to be warm in every faucet, but he wanted to wait and check that out. But I mean, it was just like a full punch list that he wanted to do all this stuff. I thought we could just kind of walk through the rooms quickly. And then he decided that he also wanted to check the emergency lights, the battery backup on it, to make sure that it lasted for 90 minutes. Yeah. And it was already dark outside. And so literally what he was asking us to do was he wanted to cut the power and just see if the batteries, powered the lights, but then stand there for 90 minutes just in the dark and just make sure that they lasted as long as they needed to. So
unfortunately, I know who you're talking about, and I had
probably some similar,
but not that extent.
And yeah, so that was a hard no from us when he suggested that, and we just said if he wanted to do it, that was fine. I think he might have done it too. We were like, if you want to do it, that's fine. We're going to take off. You just let us know how that turns out. And I didn't hear back that it didn't go.
Did it go 89 minutes?
Yeah. If it was 89, he probably would have said something. But ultimately, yeah, that was kind of a tough experience. But we got through it, and I'm sure I got to have a good night on Friday night. So.
No, I just love that story because it's like you would just be standing in the dark with him for just 90 minutes.
Well, hopefully the emergency lights would be on, but they would just, that's just like a light glow, right? It's kind of like a horror movie in that situation. And no, I just didn't.
Or romantic.
Or romantic. It depends on how you want to make it. I wasn't going to make it that. So,
no, I wouldn't either.
Yeah, more of a horror movie in that situation.
Definitely.
Yeah, it was a tough one.
Well, talking about the punch list, I had one most recently. It was a project down in Texas, and I was doing the site, and I decided to walk the parking lot. Yeah. And so the painting for the accessible symbols for the accessible stalls, they spelled van, but every one of the stalls, and there were 6 of them, the N was backwards.
No, come on now.
Oh, dude.
So that was kind of interesting.
Oh,
I'm just trying to think of how that you could do that and not understand you were doing it.
Yeah, because they must have been doing individual letters, and they just flipped it every time. But they were consistent, so that was good. Because all 6 of them were that way. And I got a photo of that, too.
It was good in the sense that, like, they were being consistent with their work, but it was bad because instead of just having to redo one of them, you had to redo 6 of them.
Yep,
yeah,
exactly.
That's unfortunate.
Well, this isn't, since I'm not an architect, I don't have a punch list, but we went to an opening and there was a sign with our name on it, which was really, really cool.
Yes.
But then
you're talking about like a plaque.
Yeah,
yes.
The bronze
like a
plaque.
permanent plaque.
Yep.
Yeah.
1919 Architects was spelled correctly, but then below it, where it just says Architects, it was spelled Architects, so it was missing a C. So, speaking of misspellings, I thought that was pretty cool.
Did they
that we
fix
got a
that?
sign.
No.
It's
So
done.
it's just that forever?
It's that forever.
Okay. We don't need to mention the building because we don't want people hounding them.
Yeah.
Showing up at their doorstep, just to laugh at it. So.
Yeah. But yeah, it gives the building personality now as well.
Yep. I'd say so.
Yeah, I had another one with, it was kind of weird doing pre-inspection for a building here in Rockford. We were working with a developer. We had just finished one of the buildings, and we were having the ribbon cutting that day, which I was going to the ribbon cutting. 2 of the staff members went to this other building to do the pre-work. So this building was boarded up, been abandoned for a while, and to get in, we had a key to get in, but you had to leave a rock in the door opening because if it closed behind you, you couldn't get out. There was no way to get out. Mm-hmm. And the first 2 floors of this building, I think it was a 3-story building, all the windows were boarded up. There was no power in there, so they were using flashlights and stuff. Well, what happened is it was like during the summer, some person walked down the street, saw the rock, they moved the rock while they were in there. And then they had started calling me. Well, I'm ignoring the call because I'm at this groundbreaking. Well, they finally got a hold of someone else, and then the owner got a call, and he says, hey, 2 of your people are locked in the building around the corner. We're going to send someone to go get them out. But the one guy, he was jonesing in there because he was starting to threaten to like knock the plywood out on one of the windows so he could get out. He was full panic mode.
Well, good thing they got out of there. It's the
Yeah.
opposite of how buildings are supposed to be designed.
Yeah, exactly.
We try not to lock people in. So
No, but that's kind of you don't know what kind of conditions you're going into.
Oh, yeah.
Like holes
Yeah,
in
for
the
sure.
floor, or, someone walking down the street just knocks the rock out from the door, and now you're trapped inside.
yeah, talking about not knowing what you're walking into. Joe and I actually went to see a project nearby. It was kind of like a really rundown hotel,
No, okay.
and the guy wanted to turn it into like, I don't know if it was like apartments or something like that, but I was looking at the hotel online ahead of time just to kind of know where we're going and kind of know what we're getting into. It looked kind of fancy, but those pictures were clearly very old. So we went there, and there was so much stuff that was just like the pool there was like just drained basically, and was like just, you could just tell no one had cleaned it in a while. But Joe and I were just walking in. I think we were measuring a couple of rooms, and then there was just, and I'm sure a lot of people deal with this, but I probably saw like 7 dead bats on the ground while we were walking around, and I'm just like, I don't see a lot of bats, so every time it was just like scary. But eventually, like, I wasn't even getting like freaked out by it anymore, and that's unfortunate. Like, you should get freaked out anytime you walk into a dead bat, but it just was so common after a while, you just kind of deal with it. So
Yeah. Well, that's kind of like when Tabitha and I redid the house in Cedarville. It was a house built in 1871, and we were doing a rehab on it. Couldn't understand why the stairs that went up all the way up to the attic, it was a 2-story building with the walk up to the attic, why they were leaning so bad. So once the demolition had gotten all the plaster off, there was a bathroom over the entryway, and a plumber who put that bathroom in to run his piping, he cut out the support beam that was holding up the stair.
Oh.
And so the stairs had sagged, but amazingly never collapsed. And we jacked it up, or, had the contractor jack it up, put a new beam in, but it was still interesting. We could never get that sag out
for
because
sure,
it
yeah.
had been that way
Just over
probably
time.
for so many years. But that was interesting. And then talk about a animal. There was a pool house that was connected to it that we tore down, and they were pulling the walls off of that. I can't remember if Tabitha did or not, but inside the wall cavity was a dead raccoon that had been petrified in there.
Oh, nice.
So, yeah, we found some interesting things like that.
Gosh.
The funniest one was we found a spider downstairs. Scariest thing. And this was when we were doing a pre-walk.
Was it alive?
Yeah, it was alive.
Okay.
I mean, it was like you did the flashlight, you saw all 8 eyes. They glowed. It was that bad. So we just thought it would be funny. We just said, hey, Tabitha, come on down here. So she walked down there. We showed her. She was ready to burn the place to the ground after seeing that.
He probably wasn't alone, right?
No, if he wasn't hanging out by himself. There had to be a buddy
his
somewhere.
family was around or something. Yeah, there's more of those. You never saw him again, though?
Well, no, we sprayed him with WD-40. We killed him that day.
Well, but you never saw his friends, though?
No,
Okay, that's good.
but
Yeah,
it
that's
was
ideal.
it was pretty ugly.
Oh, my gosh. Oh, you said all 8 eyes?
Yeah,
They have 8 eyes?
apparently.
Yes.
They have 8 eyes and 8 legs?
Yeah.
Okay.
But they glowed. When you hit it, you could count them. I mean, it was pretty,
Man, that sounds legit, though.
yeah.
You should have let it bite you to see if it was radioactive.
See if I'd been Spider-Man.
Well, or have Easton try it out.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. Either way.
Well,
That's kind of all I got.
okay.
Like I said, I mean, there's probably some stories that, unfortunately, I'm sure every architect runs across that are, pretty sketchy. Just, as far as like kind of not crazy, but just what Ron's talking about with like, structurally, there's things like at your house you saw. I'm still certain that there's some things I've seen structurally, like if an engineer were to try to design that the way it's currently built, there's no way it would stand up. But I think over time, some things just like, get stuck in a certain spot.
Yeah, I think wood's very forgiving.
Yeah.
It's just, there's something about it that's
And it's
amazing.
you just kind of see it though, and you're kind of like, I don't know how that's still standing up, and I'm not comfortable in here. But
Yeah. Well, that was the other thing too. I recently was down in Florida, and Bruce Tyson, our former partner, owner of the company, I did a couple videos with him. I think we're going to try to incorporate that into this as well. And he's got a pretty good story of Mr. T.
I think he was cutting down the trees or something in Lake Forest.
Oh, yeah. Mr. T, the TV actor, movie actor, whatever he was, we remodeled his house for him in Chicago. And he got into a hassle with the city. The city was nicknamed Forest City, and he was cutting down all of his trees on his property because he claimed it attracted bugs, and he didn't like bugs. So, the big muscle man was afraid of bugs.
We did some work for him.
Oh boy,
Yeah.
that does sound awesome.
Well, unless you guys can think of anything, I think we're going to conclude this episode. And I think what we've learned is you're not just doing drawings all day as an architect, you're also very much dealing with people, which is sometimes an even greater variable than the building itself. So thank you again, everyone, for listening. This has been Since 1919.